Welcome to Super Talk, the podcast that scratches your superhero itch. Just two suburban dads nerding out over superhero stuff on the small screen and the big. Buckle up, people. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome to Super Talk, the weekly podcast dedicated to news and reviews of comic book media on the big and small screen. This is episode 162. I'm your host, Brian Professor Pettis, and with me, as always, my illustrious co-host, the titanium one, Tony Estrella.
Sir, how are you?
That was a really cool AI video you sent me yesterday.
You like that?
That was awesome.
I got a lot of attention on TikTok and Instagram that I put it on.
That was awesome.
And I was teasing this show.
Yeah.
It's an AI morphing video of me walking my dog turning into the Incredible Hulk. It was kind of cool, wasn't it?
I kind of want to know how you did it, but I kind of don't want to know how you did it because then I'll like spiral into some, place that I don't want to go.
It was a template. It was a template kind of filter that you could use on one of the apps that I use to put the shows together. So
it was very cool.
Yeah.
So, if anybody's if you're walking on the streets of Chantilly, Virginia, and you see a guy just Hulk out, it's him.
No,
that was kind of funny.
You can check it out on our TikTok.
Yeah, check out the Super Talk TikTok. I'm sure it's there. We got a good episode this week. We've got a few things to talk about. I'm especially excited for you and I have a discussion about our topic of the week, but we do have a lot of things to review as well. So let's jump right into it. We did just today get what is now being labeled the final trailer for the Fantastic Four movie. And I'll tell you what, this is the best one they've released without question.
There isn't a question about how good this trailer
is amazing. I think leading up to this, it's been a lot of teasing of the plot of the movie, teasing the characters, teasing, are we going to see them use their powers or not? Teasing, what is this movie really about? How much does Galactus factor into the plot of the movie? Well, this one slams us upside the head with what this movie is about. And they went far enough, but not too far. And I'm really glad they did this.
Fantastic. That they didn't give too much away, and they didn't show too much of a Galactus.
They showed enough to get us interested, but they didn't.
Also to tell you where the story's going, right?
Right. Yeah. Right. I think there's been a lot of through all the trailers that have been coming out up to this point, there's been a lot of speculation about what does this mean for what the plot of the movie is, and obviously the end of the Thunderbolts movie with the post-credit scene. How does that factor into things? And I think this trailer did a really good job of solidifying what this movie's about. I think maybe it seems like to me the front part of the movie is really about showing them in their everyday lives as these celebrity superheroes on this planet Earth that they're on,
right?
And dealing with the kind of everyday responsibilities that they have. There was a really cool promo they did a couple weeks ago. What was the
pizza?
It was
pizza.
Papa John's, or was it
no,
some other pizza company?
Yeah.
But it had Giganto in that, so they're obviously still responsible for fighting, villains,
Little Caesar,
Little Caesar, thwarting, evil on their planet or whatever. Yeah. They're the heroes, and so that was a really cool promo. So I think the first part of that movie is really going to be a lot of
what was the creature's name?
Giganto.
Yeah.
It's from the first Fantastic Four comic book,
and the cover, the scene with him coming through the street, the city street, and the comic book cover were fantastic.
It's identical.
I love that. I love that.
Love the fan service.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes.
But it seems like from this trailer, that is what this first part of the movie is going to be about, is really kind of showing them in their everyday lives as the celebrity superheroes of the world. And then we see them get alerted to danger, and we see the Silver Surfer come in and announce, as the Herald of Galactus, that, announce his coming. And then we see them kind of like scramble, like, we got to do something. We got to figure what's going on. We got to, and it seems like they go into space and they go onto Galactus's ship to confront him. And it seems like the Silver Surfer, escorts them there, which is kind of crazy. Um, and then they run away. They're like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And then all hell breaks loose and you see some fight scenes and a bunch of other things. And this trailer was just everything I wanted for this movie.
It told
I'm more
enough
excited
of the
about it now
story.
than I really have been to this point.
Everybody is.
Yeah.
I think that is the consensus with everybody that saw this trailer. It definitely leveled up the excitement level. And it came at a really good time. It came at right when the hype level of Superman is peaking, and they're doing that whole press run with Superman. I think there was a preview tonight of the Superman movie for insiders and influencers, but I really liked this trailer. I got my excitement level really cranked up, and the tone and the pace of this trailer was perfect.
Yeah.
And really good. And it looks great. It really looks great.
It really does look awesome. I mean, we knew they were going to put their full effort behind this movie, and I didn't have any doubts about that. We were in Comic-Con last year when they had just started filming this movie, and you could kind of tell that there was a lot of importance placed behind it. And we know, and we'll talk about this later, but we know how important this is to the future of Marvel, frankly. And they got to get it right. And but this trailer does give me hope.
Yes.
I do now. I'm now excited to see this movie.
Would you make the statement that Marvel is back?
We'll see.
Yeah, too soon.
Well, too soon to tell.
Another thing about this trailer that was very intriguing is, Johnny Storm's personality really came through in this trailer. I mean, just really great.
I don't think they're going full douchebag like they did with Chris Evans' version of Johnny Storm. That was like full comic book douchebag.
Right.
Johnny Storm. Chris Evans really played it very well. I don't think they're going that far with it, but they are going a little bit of the slightly arrogant,
arrogant,
cocky,
funny.
Yeah.
I really liked this a lot. So I thought that trailer was
they just
fantastic.
Nailed the thing. Nailed.
It doesn't get any better than
nailed it.
Nailed it.
I mean, it is perfect. And just, the way that he's dressed in civilian clothes with these oversized dress shirts with a tie on, they just nailed it. I mean, it's so good.
The stone beard, the throwback to the stone beard. What do you think of that?
That was the one that just threw everybody, shocked everybody.
But he had a beard in the comics a couple of runs
at times.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that comes about. But I mean, how does he develop one, and how does he shave? If does he use a chisel?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like
exactly.
That's just kind of hysterical. But yeah, this looks really good. I'm excited for this movie, very much so. I guess I'm cautiously excited because I do want this to be good, because this really means a lot for the future of the company, and I just hope it is good. So again, my hopes are up. So
great trailer though. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
Just came out today, so go check it out.
It's phenomenal.
I'm sure it'll be all over television.
We've reposted it on all of our accounts. It's all over the place. So.
Yeah, it'll be out there. All right, well, let's jump into our review of the Ironheart series on Disney Plus. Just premiered last night. They are dropping all 6 episodes over a 2-week period. So we got episodes 1 through 3 last night. The remaining 3 episodes will premiere next Tuesday. What do you think, Titanium?
I didn't hate it. So I came in with pretty low expectations just because of the timing, the character itself. I didn't hate it. Was it great? Absolutely not. Was it okay? Yeah, it was okay. It's not as bad as Echo. I liked it a little more than Miss Marvel, but not much. So it kind of felt a little bit like Secret Invasion, kind of a little bit. I don't know. I think again, the problem we've had, and we've discussed this, it's a character and it's a show that no one asked for. It really doesn't move us forward through the MCU and where they're trying to go, especially with the trailer coming out. Really, really kind of showed you where we should be at Marvel, and not kind of on these side C, D level characters, stick with the A, B level characters. So,
Yeah, I've got a bit of a hot take. I think that this is just another example of just bad TV. I'm sorry. It's not good. Um, and the fact that our expectations are so low,
yeah,
considering some of the series that you cited, our expectations of Marvel's series on Disney Plus is so low after seeing some of the most horrific television ever that we're like, it's not that bad. I'm sorry, as a fan of this media and as a fan of the comic books and as a fan of Marvel, it's just a bad TV show. I'm sorry, it just is. It's not. I mean, again, there's just so many examples, and I'll go through some of them as we talk about the show. But the acting is, it seems forced. They really missed their window. If they wanted us to be interested in this character in this series, they should have released it shortly after Wakanda Forever came out.
agree.
Because this series kind of starts right after that movie ended.
Yeah.
So that we know this series was filmed a couple of years ago and they've been sitting on it doing nothing with it. And I'm sure they've been polishing it and making it better, but it's been done for a long time.
Yeah.
And had they released this 4 or 5 months after Wakanda Forever came out, at least you have the people who went to that movie who liked that character having some level of interest in wanting to know what happened to that character.
Yeah.
They missed that window. It's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And so that in itself is an issue. That some of the dialogue is just
Cringe. Mm-hmm.
and they do some of these things, and I don't know if it's filler, but it's like the writers of the show, it's like, why is that scene like here's an example. Okay, so she creates her own AI using the barf technology that Tony Stark developed. She creates her own, she has to develop an AI for her suit. So she creates her own AI, and it's reading her mind while she's just sitting there for hours, and it creates her own AI. It just happens to be created in the exact form of her best friend with all of the memories of her best friend.
Almost all of them. Yeah.
How is that even possible?
Right.
Because Riri doesn't have all of those memories. She just has her perspective of that girl's life. It just, some of it just doesn't make sense. But anyway, she creates this AI, and I don't find her friend annoying, but it's close. Like the acting's bad enough that it's like close to being annoying. And like she's forcing being this kind of temperamental AI, kind of thing. And then at one scene in one of the episodes, I think it was episode 2, she's tired of being trapped in the suit. So she finds a way out of the computer that she's been locked into and is able to make her way into the projector that her mom has set up in her living room and projects herself onto the screen of this painting that she's doing and starts now having a conversation with her mom. Why? Like, why is that scene in this show?
Yeah.
Like, none of us really care about that.
Yeah.
It just that, and there's just so many things. So,
Well, that's why I said I
look, the
compared it
special
to
effects are good. The
special
suit is
effects are fun. Yeah,
good.
the suit's good.
Some of the action scenes have been good.
I do like the hood.
Yeah, the forced fight scenes with the two girls. What are they called? The blood sisters or whatever. I mean, come on. And
Yeah.
the gang. I mean, I'm like,
Yeah, the gang is not
I
necessary.
mean, do we have to put a they in there? Of course they did. And so we've got that, and then there's the whole. So I want to get into like if you haven't seen it, there's going to be some spoilers. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go watch it.
spoilers.
In the last episode, they have this heist at this, what is it? A greenhouse that's floating on the water or something. I don't even know why they would even want to do this, but they're now stealing something from this greenhouse. And the AI, her best friend, can now operate the suit independently of her. And so she goes off and she's going to now, you know, Riri is going to go in and try to steal a piece of the Hood suit because they want to figure out what's behind his powers. Like, how does, and there's a weird energy coming off it. So if I just get a piece of the suit, then I can analyze it and figure out what's behind these powers. Okay. So she had met with Zeke Stain. And oh, by the way, yes, Zeke Stain, Obadiah Stain's son, is in the show. Happens to be a underground arms dealer that she meets, and she gets a bunch of the parts she needs from her
A
suit.
black market tech dealer.
Right.
Yeah, not arms.
Yeah. Well, he happened to have like a SAM missile and a
He stole from
an
his father.
anti-tank missile sitting on his desk. So, I'm sure he's dealing arms too. But anyway, she gets all these parts from him, and they have this kind of weird relationship, and he's trying to, not, he wants to, doesn't want to be remembered for the legacy of his father who tried to kill Tony Stark. He wants to make his own way. Total shade, by the way. This guy, he's a backdoor bad guy.
Sure.
You and I both know that by episode 5, we're going to find out that he's been pulling the strings behind this whole operation.
He's already putting like bionics and shit in
from
his
the
arm.
jump, right?
Yeah.
We know he's a bad guy, right? So like, pull the rug out already. Come on. But anyway, she finds out he has developed this fake skin. It's a biogenetic covering or something.
Yeah.
And she's like, mesh. She's like, oh, I bet you that can. So this place we're going has.
Yeah, it's bad.
Okay. So this greenhouse is a highly technological advanced greenhouse, and it has a system in place that will detect any foreign metal.
Right.
How or why there would be a system like this anywhere in the world is beyond me. How do they know that the metal that's in the greenhouse is okay, but any metal that comes in from outside of the greenhouse is not? So just the concept of this blew me away. So anyway, Riri has to have a laser cutter on her arm so that she can cut the piece of the cloak of the Hood off. So she uses this biomesh stuff that she gets from Zeke Stain to cover it up so it doesn't get, maybe it can hide it from this system and it won't be detected. And the piss poor job she did of securing it onto her arm.
Yeah.
Of like, it's just a flap of stuff sitting there and the laser's just tucked into it. Like you couldn't wrap some like Velcro around it or something. Like you couldn't secure it anymore. It's just going to sit there a little flappy. I mean, I'm like, come on. And then at one point in time, the one girl who's on the team, who's like the pyrotechnics expert or whatever.
Clown. Yeah.
She's they're running through this greenhouse, like fighting the security, and she's got earrings and all kinds of stuff hanging down, from metal stuff hanging, like what the detector didn't detect any of that stuff that's all over her, but the little piece of her laser cutter that's poking out of this biomesh is going to be detected by this system.
Yeah.
I mean, just
bad writing.
The plot hole. Bad writing.
Yeah.
The plot holes are just all over the place. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So anyway, it seems to me that and we talked about this months ago when the plot of this show came out. We're like, we've got a plot of Riri Williams, Ironheart, and the villain is going to be the Hood. And we're like, how do the two of them really kind of match up? Like, how is that something that we should be excited about? And they're kind of, so the Hood runs this criminal gang who does these high-tech thefts, right? And they're stealing things for, it seems like, for money.
Well, the word you just used is super important. Criminal.
Right.
Like, why is a superhero? Why is Riri Williams?
The money so bad.
She needs the money, but she's a genius. Why can't she just develop something or work for a corporation that would pay her?
That's why she got kicked out of school, Tony, because she was selling all these inventions to other schools and selling completed assignments, and it got her kicked out of MIT.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Just so much of this is just like, it just drives me crazy how, and then of course, and she's gonna, drop all of her morals and join a
no moral compass. She has no moral compass.
She's going to drop everything she stands for and believes in. Well, as long as nobody's getting hurt, I'll help you guys out because I need the money. We need to get paid. I need the money to develop my suit. I'm like, okay. So it seems like the Hood has some alternate motivation, and they're trying to figure out he's got this rash all over him that's like consuming his body, and it's something to do with the deal that he made for the Hood.
The deal with Mephisto.
Well, you and I have speculated that that's who it is. There's also speculation that it might be Dormammu, or who knows who it is.
It's Mephisto, dude. It's Mephisto.
Okay. I'm going to go back about 160 episodes when we were doing WandaVision, and I'm gonna listen to you saying it's Mephisto during the WandaVision reviews.
We overextended ourselves a lot on WandaVision.
So if that's who it is, and again, the rumors are that Sacha Baron Cohen was cast in this show as Mephisto, and that they're going to be using the show to bring Mephisto into the MCU and all this other stuff. And if that happens, okay, that at least we got something out of this show. I would not be surprised if it doesn't happen.
Oof.
If we never see anything or anybody, it's just a shadow. I would not be surprised.
Awful.
Titanium?
Yeah.
Wait and see.
Are you telling me you're going to punt the last 3 episodes?
No, I'm not going to punt them.
Oh, okay.
I'm just saying that's...
Where would you rank it as far as...
Bottom 3, easily.
That's where I rank it.
Or bottom 4. I mean, whether you put She-Hulk above or below this, from right now, from my perspective right now, and again, we talked about this last week when you and I were texting. Thank God they're not making us wait every week for a new episode. Because if I had to wait every week to
pull that Band-Aid off.
I mean, we're getting all 6 of them in a 2-week period. Thank God, because I don't think I could have waited 6 weeks for this thing to be over.
It was like Miss Marvel was torture.
Oh, it's torture. So that's the only good news about this. Here's the biggest question about it. It's been 2 years since it was made. They finally released it. Where does this show fit into the grand scheme of things at Marvel? Where do these characters fit into the grand scheme of things with Marvel? Are we going to see Riri on the Young Avengers? Is she going to be a character moving forward? It's amazing how great her suit is. I mean, when she put that suit on at MIT, I'm like, oh my God, it's like,
that's cool.
I mean, this is phenomenal. Why isn't she on the Avengers right now with that suit? None of it. The plot makes 0 sense whatsoever.
Yeah. The story is weak.
It's
and the characters are underdeveloped. Let me go through some of the bad things.
I thought I just did, but anyway, go ahead.
You absolutely did, and you're right. The story is weak. We both agree upon that. I think the acting is questionable. Again, there's so many subplots in here, and there's so much happening. It's too crowded. Like the whole team is unnecessary. All those people are unnecessary. The Joe or Ezekiel that could have been like one of the main things. There's just so much going on. Her stepfather getting shot.
Stepfather and best friend getting gunned down during a drive-by.
That was probably one of the most intriguing things that I liked. Like that gives you some substance to this character. Right. Yeah. That was probably one of the most positive things. Again, the suit was pretty cool. I really think the suit is cool. But the story and the subplot and all the different things that are going on, it's so crowded. I do like the Hood. I think the Hood is kind of a cool character, and I think Anthony Ramos does a really good job at the Hood and being that kind of evil.
Easily the best actor that's in this thing. Easily,
he's pretty good. And I do like that, but still, it is in my bottom 3 of shows. It just, again, like you said, if this had come out a year ago or a year and a half ago when it should have, it would have been more substantial, and I think people would have liked it more.
I just, my hopes aren't very high.
If I don't get Mephisto in this, I'm
will you
done.
Be upset?
I'll be as upset as I was with WandaVision.
Okay. All right. I mean, maybe we do. And if that's the case, so I guess that's the big question here. Let's assume, and it's a bad assumption, let's assume that Mephisto does show up at some point in time. We find out that he's behind all of this. He's the one that the Hood sold his soul to Mephisto to get the hood and the powers behind it, and we seen in the trailers that somehow, some way, Riri finds somebody who's been trained in magic, and she can now imbue or infuse magic into her suit, and that's going to happen here sometime in the latter episodes. We've seen it in the trailers.
What if she sells her soul to get like Gary back, her stepfather, or make Natalie a real thing?
But does she sell her soul, or does she just meet with somebody who I don't know where they're going with this. But anyway, let's say we get Mephisto. Do we see Mephisto play a bigger role in MCU projects going forward?
He would be the only one in this show that I could see.
I mean, that's
not a bigger role.
The real
but
question is: this now something or somebody that we can see in a future project, like
Midnight Suns,
Midnight Suns, or something, you know? And if you sit on him, on that character, and the actor
how
who plays
long?
him for 5 years, I mean, do we really even care anymore at that point in time?
Is Sacha Baron Cohen 65?
Right, exactly.
70?
I just don't know what they're trying to accomplish with this. It just frustrates me. I just wish, they had so many opportunities to make television programs about and with good characters, and they chose these alternate B-list, C-list characters that nobody really cares about. Terrible writing, terrible plots, terrible acting.
Yeah.
I'm just tired of it.
Yeah.
I'm just, it's exhausting.
I didn't hate it, though. I'm going to be honest. I did not hate it. It wasn't great. It was okay. And you're right. Okay isn't enough. Like we've had more than okay in a lot of shows.
But I think that what they want to do is that for us to love it so much that we can't wait to see Riri Williams in a new Marvel project.
No.
I mean, they thought that with Ms. Marvel, and when she showed up in the Marvel's movie,
as a lead
nobody
character,
went to saw it.
Yeah.
Nobody went to see it.
Yeah.
Nobody cared.
Nobody cares.
Yeah. So I don't know where they're going. I'm again, some of my frustration here. But anyway, we'll see how it ends next week. We'll be here to talk about it. I hope they deliver on some of the things that they have at least alluded to, and we'll kind of see what happens, right?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's jump into some news. Here's some good news. You and I were able to secure passes to an early screening of Superman.
Yeah. Yeah. Not because of our status or our Hollywood prowess.
We did it the same way that every other lemming does it.
Just Prime. We're Amazon Prime members.
Right.
That's how we got it.
Fandango, Amazon Prime, and Warner Brothers had a promotion where they are offering a pre-screen of the movie on July 8th. The movie's scheduled to premiere on the 11th. We're now going to be seeing it on Tuesday, July 8th, a few days before the premiere date, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, and we got passes and we'll be able to see it early. Look, the last trailer for this movie that came out is really good. As
good as the Fantastic Four one that dropped today?
You know what I'm encouraged by? Titanium. The thing that I'm encouraged by the most.
Why do people want to always compare these two movies?
I don't know, and I don't think it's fair to do that.
No, you can't.
I hope they both do well for obvious reasons, but because our show will do better because of it. But no, I hope they both do well. But I think this movie, we know how important it is to the future of James Gunn's DCU.
Absolutely.
I like the fact that he didn't shy away from making this cast very busy. He could have just made it just Superman
and Lois. Yeah.
Superman and Lois and have a villain in there, and that's it. But he didn't. He's got, the Justice Crew, I think they're calling him now.
Okay, yeah.
It's instead of it's what Maxwell Lord's team, the Justice Crew, Green Lantern, Hawk Girl, Mr. Terrific. They're in this. We've got, the technicians in it. We've got,
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, with Lex Luthor. We've got
Rick Flag Sr.
Yeah, who's the guy who could
Ultraman
change his body into kryptonite?
Morph.
Not Morph. It's Metamorpho. He's in it. I mean, so they made this movie busy, and I like that. I
Yeah.
like doing a little bit of world building while you're developing a movie about a character.
Everybody knows the origin story. We don't need to go
Right.
there.
But I like him building out the world of the DCU a little bit and saying, hey, we've got these other heroes
Yeah.
around and these other things. And
Yeah, I don't mind that.
it looks good. It looks great. I'm really looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, we'll
I
see it that night. We'll get a couple of
yeah.
drinks or get a bite to eat and then
Yeah.
take the family in there.
Yeah, we'll check it out and it'll be exciting. So I
You know, comparing Superman to Fantastic Four is like comparing apples and oranges. You know, seriously, they're superhero, they're comic book media, they're superheroes, right? So both apples and oranges are fruit and they're both sweet, but they're very different. I mean, they taste different, they look different, different texture, and that's the way the Fantastic Four and Superman is, in my mind, should be because they're the texture's different, the flavor is going to be different, the tone, and they're still fruit, and I love both of them dearly. But why do you try to compare those two things all the
I
time?
think
It's
there's concern, a little bit of concern in that, there is a bit of superhero fatigue. There's a concern about that. And
Mhm.
can the summer box office withstand and sustain two movies that come out literally 3 weeks apart?
Yeah,
And, will Fantastic Four's debut hurt the long term box office success of Superman? Or will Superman's sustainability hurt Fantastic Four's premiere? There's
right.
a lot of questions about that, and those I understand. And the only comparison that I would say, the reason that you could compare them is I think both of these movies are equally as important to the future of their franchises, respectively. Um, they both need to do well, not only in the box office, but they need to get good reviews. They need to have repeat viewers. They need to have an excitement, in a buzz in our industry, just kind of around the media, around these movies, people talking about them and saying how good they are and how they can't wait for the next project to come out.
Yeah,
They both need to do that.
I think more so for Superman than Fantastic Four now that Doomsday is
Mhm.
like a lot of Doomsday is there. But you're absolutely right. Both of them are extremely important for those just to get past this kind of question,
Yeah.
especially Marvel. Marvel's got a big question mark
Well,
above them. We're going to get into
we'll
that in
get
this
into
topic a
that,
little bit.
but look, we'll see it early. I'm happy we're seeing it early. Not just because I want to. I mean, our theater will be packed because it's a early screening.
Yeah.
Um, but I want to get back to the days where people are cheering in the theater when certain things happen, and
Yeah.
I hope that one of these movies does that.
I'll be disappointed if people don't cheer in Fantastic Four when he says it's clobbering time. When he
They
finally
only say that in the cartoon. Tony.
when he finally says that.
They only say that in the cartoon. Um, So another piece of good news, which tickled me a little bit here this past week, John Bernthal will be showing up in Spider-Man: Brand New Day as the Punisher.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
This is awesome in so many ways, and it tells me that there's some people around at Marvel that have a little bit of sense about when and how to use some characters in the right way for the right purpose. If, from what we hear, this movie is going to be a little bit more of a street level Spider-Man movie,
Grounded, right?
ground level, right?
Instead of this
The
multiverse.
Punisher is one of the most perfect anti-heroes to put in this film. We've seen him, I mean, you and I have seen him probably a lot more than most people. Saw him in the original Daredevil series on Netflix. We saw him in his own 2 seasons on Netflix, which were both spectacular. John Bernthal nails this character. Like, could not have picked a better actor, and that actor could not have had a better portrayal of this character than he has done. And then we just saw him briefly in Daredevil Born Again season 1, which was very good as well to know that he's back. But to bring this character into this movie, people forget that the Punisher debuted in Spider-Man. The first appearance of the Punisher in the comic books was in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And then ultimately he became a popular figure, so much popular
Had
enough
several of his own runs.
had his own limited series, then ultimately series, and a couple of really bad movies that were done with Thomas Jane and who's the other guy? The guy who just passed away, who was on the Star Wars, Ray Stevenson.
Oh yeah,
He played him.
yeah.
So it was Thomas Jane and Ray Stevenson. So anyway, a couple bad movies, but he's a popular character. And if you're doing street level stuff, the Punisher is great. And the morality of Spider-Man opposing the
Morality of the Punisher.
well,
like
the lack of morality. I'll say he's got a disturbed morality in that get the job done, taking out anybody that gets in the way versus protect life at all costs. Spider-Man, that's what made them compelling adversaries in the comics. And now you have that coming to the big screen. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah.
And again, we've already heard the rumors that Mark Ruffalo is going to be in the movie. We're hearing some of the rumors that we're going to get back to Savage Hulk, which I know you're excited to see if that happens.
If Mr. Negative could turn the Hulk back into Savage Hulk and maybe make him gray, that would be sick. But I mean,
But the Gray Hulk was not Savage. He was Mr. Fix-It. He was kind of a.
I just want a Savage Hulk. And if the Hulk is in this, how is Spider-Man and the Punisher going to match up against the Hulk? Maybe the Hulk isn't the bad guy in this, but we'll see.
I to this day, I still believe that the Ang Lee Hulk movie was the best representation of the Hulk character that we've seen on the big screen.
Really?
Yeah, the original movie Hulk.
Because he got bigger?
Yeah.
He got angrier?
Yeah. And remember when the dogs were biting on him?
Yeah.
Remember they had those like juiced up, mutant dogs, and they sent after him, and then they were biting him, and he started getting angry, and he's getting bigger and bigger.
My least favorite of all the Hulk movies, but I see what you're saying.
But I'm saying it was the best representation of the savageness and the just fierce brutality of the Hulk.
Yeah.
Right. We got a little bit of that in the Edward Norton movie.
Yeah.
A little bit, but the savageness was there in that first Ang Lee movie, and just tearing things to shreds.
I like how big he got when he got angry. Yeah, the angrier he got, the bigger he got, like in size.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it was very cool.
Because Mark Ruffalo's Hulk, I think, is only like 6'8".
Right,
he's tiny.
Professor Hulk, right?
It's awful. Anyway,
yeah. So we'll see. I mean,
that's exciting news. John Berthal is an absolute stud, and we love him. So to see him in one of your favorite superhero movies, superhero flicks.
Well, and we're going to get a lot more of him before that movie comes out. So we should be getting Daredevil Born Again season 2 early next year. And there's also supposed to be a Punisher one shot or special presentation that's coming out on Disney Plus either later this year or before the Spider-Man movie comes out. So
leading into the Spider-Man movie?
Right. So we're going to get all of that before
That'd be smart.
Yeah.
That'd be smart.
Get everybody interested in the character.
And tease Tom Holland as Spider-Man in that a little bit. That'd be killer.
Well, wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
But not like it could happen. Another piece of movie news, and this has been rumored for a long time. You and I've talked about this at length. Is Marvel going to recast somebody in the role of T'Challa Black Panther? Or are they just going to age up his son that we saw in Wakanda Forever?
Or bring in a variant?
Or are we going to have a teenage version? There's a lot of questions about that. I think when Chadwick Boseman passed away, the decision to not recast him, you and I both agreed was the right decision at the time.
At the time, yes.
To honor him and his portrayal of that character. And then, Ryan Coogler had to do a massive rewrite of the script of Wakanda Forever to take that character out of the movie and refocus it on Shuri. It really tough job he had. And I think they did it to honor Chadwick Boseman, which at the time was a good decision. However, one of the things that we struggled with was the influence of this character, the importance of this character, the strength that this character brings to the MCU was now missing and gone.
Agree.
And the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman left a void, because I think had he still been around, not only would the second movie have done way better than Wakanda Forever did, but I think his presence in all of the other Marvel projects that he would have or could have been in would have been even more compelling.
No question.
So that character is extremely important in a lot of different ways. And so the question has always been, what are they going to do with that character? And we got introduced to his son at the end of Wakanda Forever, very young. I probably, what would you guess? Like maybe 7 years old, 6, 7,
maybe a little older, but yeah,
8,
maybe 9.
But how do you rapidly age up that character to take over the mantle of Black Panther? I mean, let's say it's been a few years. I mean, now he's like 13. Can he really be the Black Panther at 13 years old? Probably not.
You could age him up to 18, 19.
You could rapidly age him, right? I guess they could do that.
Or with the multiverse, they could bring in a variant.
The other question has been, well, with Doomsday being a multiverse movie, we already know this is going to be a multiverse movie because we've already heard that Dr. Doom is going to be going to the X-Men universe, and he's going to be coming to the MCU. He's going to be going to other universes to pull in other characters, during Doomsday. Question has been, and then ultimately Secret Wars, do we bring an alternate version of this character into the MCU through the multiverse?
Right.
And there was some concept art for Secret Wars that was leaked out by one of the artists that had done some work for Marvel. And in that concept art, they had drawn this new version of the Black Panther. And the actor that they drew in this drawing was Damson Idris, who just happened to be promoting his new movie F1. So he's in the movie F1 with Brad Pitt coming out this weekend, and he was doing promotions for this movie, and I loved it. He was point blank asked by the interviewer, lots of rumors out there about you
being the new Black
Panther. Have you or have you not had conversations with Marvel about that character? And he said, yes, no. Which is the total biggest cop-out, ever.
Right.
Because there's no way to answer that question without giving the wrong answer. You could take the, Andrew Garfield version and completely lie. Said, oh, no, I haven't talked to anybody about that. It's all just rumors. It's all been on the internet. Who knows where this stuff comes from? I haven't talked to anybody. It'd be great. It'd be awesome. It'd be a once in a lifetime opportunity. But I haven't spoke to anybody. Could have lied through his teeth. Probably knew that he would be lying, and instead of lying, knowing that he couldn't tell the truth, decided to give the answer that would, basically the interviewer said after he gave that answer, well, you just confirmed it. By giving that answer, you confirmed it. And he's like, and then he's, but
then I think they followed up with, if they asked you to play the Black Panther, would you? And he said, absolutely.
Yeah. So again,
leading young actor,
really
super hot right now.
Right. And, again, the concept art had him in a Black Panther costume. So I mean, I think it'd be a great casting.
Me too.
I think it would be awesome.
Yeah.
And I want this character back in the MCU.
Me too.
So if this is true, and I'm hoping it is, it's a big win across the board.
Agreed.
And how they do it, I don't care. I don't care whether it's multiverse,
age up some young kid,
whatever,
18-year-old, or cast this character.
The vibranium made him age much quicker than
bring back Michael B. Jordan from another universe,
right, as the
Black Panther. I mean, come on, I would love that too. That would be great.
Right. Well, we talked about that when Chadwick Boseman passed away. We're like, funny enough, the guy who played the villain in the Black Panther movie would be my number one pick to be the person to take over as Black Panther.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It just happened to be one of those things. But anyway, I hope this is true. We'll see what happens. We'll find out in a couple of years. Right?
Right.
All right. Let's get into our topic of the week, brought to us by our friends over at Studio GG Studios.
Home of the man band, Corn on the Cob.
Thanks, Studio G. Go check them out. We always put their page in our show notes, so go check their page out because they do a great job supporting us. The topic of the week this week is Marvel Studios in trouble? And you and I've had a bunch of conversations here recently about this, and there's been a number of articles written about this as well. Specifically, a big article came out on Deadline and the Hollywood Reporter right after the Thunderbolts movie came out. A couple weeks after the Thunderbolts movie came out.
Yeah.
And they were really talking about how this movie had wonderful reviews. And it did. It had great scores on Rotten Tomatoes. The critics out there really liked this movie. They thought it was a different take on the comic book, superhero type of movie, and they really enjoyed it. And the acting was good. The cast was good. Plot was good. And
story was great. The way they interacted, the members of the team, the way they interacted was great. Direction was great. You and I both really like this movie. So yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it did not perform well at the box office.
No.
Right. Thankfully, and to my not surprise, it did finally surpass Captain America: Brave New World, which I thought it would. So it's still above that movie, but this is now 2 straight movies this year that came out from Marvel that underperformed at the box office substantially.
Yeah.
We're talking, instead of doing, $400 or $500 million at the box office, they do like 180, 190, 200 million. When you're working on a $150 to $200 million budget, that's not very good.
Yeah.
So the question, and there's been a bunch of other stories and speculation about this, that now with all of these delays, so they've delayed Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars 7 months each. We're now getting the first Doomsday movie in December of 2026. And there is a substantial lack of content in the big screen from Marvel. We will not be getting a movie from Marvel after this July, when Fantastic Four comes out, until the following December. Now, I say that because one of the reasons why Bob Iger is upset about that, and he came out and said, I'm upset that there's no movie from Marvel hitting the theaters for a year and a half, effectively.
Mm-hmm.
He said, that upsets me. We went, 7 or 8 months between Deadpool and Wolverine before we got Captain America: Brave New World, and we knew that was going to happen. That was mostly due to the delays of the writer's strike and the actor strikes that happened the previous year that delayed all these projects. But it was 7-8 months before we got something from them, and we were fine with that. But now we're looking at a year and a half, and that's a long delay. Bob Iger's not happy about it. And while we're getting Spider-Man: Brand New Day next July, that's owned by Sony. While Marvel is making the movie and co-producing the movie, Sony owns the box office. So Marvel Studios and Disney is not getting the spoils of that box office that they would get from their
Really?
own. Yeah.
I thought they were getting a piece of it.
Like 10%.
Oh, yeah.
Marvel owns like 90% of the box office for that movie.
No, Sony owns.
Sony owns. Marvel only gets a small piece of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the sharing agreement, so that when they can put Spider-Man in the Marvel films like Doomsday and Secret Wars, they'll get everything. But part of the sharing agreement is, well, we're going to keep the majority of the box office for Brand New Day. And that's what they're going to do. That's what they did that for, Spider-Man No Way Home. Mm-hmm. I mean, Marvel didn't get, they only got a percentage of the box office, a very small percentage. And maybe it's upwards of 25%, but still, they don't own the distribution of that movie.
No.
Which means when that movie finishes in the theaters and goes to pay-per-view, who's doing that? It's Sony. And then when it goes on to a streaming service, who's doing that? It's Sony. It's not Marvel, right? So that's a big concern for Bob Iger. And I echo those concerns. My son actually asked me this question. He was really pissed off when he heard that these movies were being delayed. And he said, Dad, in like phase 1, 2, and 3, how many Marvel movies were delayed?
None.
I can't remember a single one that was delayed.
No.
All the way up through Infinity War.
Yeah,
I can't remember any movie that was pushed back A week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, a
No.
year? None. How many delays have we had in the
Ton.
past 3 years?
Well,
Now
COVID,
we had COVID, we had strikes, we had
writer
a
strikes, yeah.
bunch of things that led to those.
Yes. But
There,
not now.
that's not why they're delaying Doomsday and Secret Wars.
I'm okay with those delays to get them right, to have more time for the special effects and things like that. But you're right. There should be more things in the hopper, but maybe maybe they're really feeling the superhero fatigue. They're buying into that. Maybe that's what they're doing. I don't know, but you're right. It's going to be a while.
Well, and the other thing that I know upset you very much, they're not going to Comic-Con this year.
No.
That they have opted out of San Diego Comic-Con. They will not be attending. They will not be having a Hall H presentation. They've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
And they're not going to Comic-Con this year.
Except for during some COVID years, they
bailed. Well, like everybody did.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody did. And I think during the writer's strike year, everybody opted out because there was nothing to talk about, really. But this goes to show, look, last year, they had one movie coming out last year. A single movie coming out, and it was Deadpool and Wolverine. It happened to be releasing on the day that Comic-Con, started, or the Friday of Comic-Con start. We got to see that movie, the premiere of that movie, Thursday night of Comic-Con.
Mm-hmm.
It was a huge opportunity for not only the attendees at Comic-Con, but it was a way to promote that movie to their biggest fans and get the word out and get everybody excited about it. And it worked. That movie made over $1 billion.
Mm-hmm.
They have the same opportunity this year. Fantastic Four comes out. Guess what? This Friday of Comic-Con. And they could have done the exact same thing. And they chose not to. They're not doing that. And
huge misstep, in my opinion.
And they're not doing a whole age presentation. So not only do you not want to promote any Disney Plus content you have coming out over the next year, but we know you delayed Doomsday. They don't want to answer the questions. They don't want to be up on stage answering why they've got these delays. They can't bring the actors from Avengers Doomsday into Hall H and say, we're working really hard on this film. We've got a little scissor reel to show you or whatever, some things that we're doing. Get us excited.
They're filming it. They have some footage that they could show.
The fact that they're not attending tells me something's going on.
Yeah, I agree.
And
what do you think it is?
Well, I think the other thing is, the other rumors we've heard is Disney Plus is dramatically underperforming, on the verge of bankruptcy underperforming. Like they're looking to sell it off. Like they have a library that is the envy of any studio out there. They've got the whole historical catalog of Disney movies, Star Wars movies, Marvel movies. They've got a bunch of Hulu stuff. They got a huge, enormous catalog out there. And Disney Plus is suffering, not making any money. They're like, it's a loss leader at the company. And basically, if it were an independent entity, it would be on the verge of bankruptcy, they're saying.
Wow.
And so here's my question. I mean, and all of these things adding up, look, every one of the movies that we saw, I won't say everyone, most of the movies that we saw, phase 1, 2, and 3, while not all of them performed great in the box office, they were exciting. Even the ones that didn't do well, like the original Thor or Captain America, the First Avenger, they didn't do great in the box office. But what did they do? They got us excited about the next thing that was coming out.
Yeah.
Right? But once Avengers came out, and then the second iteration of all those movies for all those actors came out, they killed it. They were doing so well. We have since Infinity War and Endgame, there have been, I'd say, 3 good movies, and everything else has been
suspect,
average to below average. Yeah. I mean,
is it time for Kevin Feige to go?
That's the question I'm asking.
Yeah.
I trusted in him for a long time because he is. Is
it Kevin Feige?
That's a great question too. Yeah. the rumors out there are that he's spread so thin, that he's now spread across so many different projects, right? Not only the movies, but all of these Disney Plus projects, that he's spread so thin that he can't get too involved in any of them, individually. He has to now delegate out to a bunch of different people. And I think his lack of involvement is what is causing these movies to suffer. So, do I blame Kevin Feige for not being as involved as he needs to be to make them successful? Or do I blame the people he's put in charge instead of him?
Or is it higher ups that is putting so much pressure and injecting, every week they're laying notes on his desk,
I have a hard time believing that if he were 100% invested in each thing that comes out from Marvel, that we would have gotten something like Secret Wars, that we would have gotten something like Echo. I have a hard time believing that if he were 100% involved in producing that product,
right,
and overseeing the quality of that product, that we would have gotten that product.
Yeah.
We know what happened when he got involved in Daredevil, when Daredevil Born Again first started, and then he saw it and he's like, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
We're redoing this. We're fixing this. We're going to delay it. We're going to fix it. And he got involved. And so that's my question is, like, do we put somebody like Brad Winderbaum in charge of all television and say Kevin's not going to touch any of it?
Right.
And he's only focused on the movies because we need to get them right. You need to have somebody I just don't believe they don't have comic book people there that can be in the quality control room. Titanium, you and I said, if you would have shown me a script, or you would have shown me an early cut of so many of these things that came out, I would have given you so much feedback about why it's wrong and why it doesn't work and what you need to fix.
Well, the problem is that I don't think, I think it comes from the top. I really do. I think there's so much pressure to put so many people in the writer's room. There's so many pressure of injecting people that have nothing to do with comics. They've even said it themselves. I stayed away from comics. I never watched any of the comics. I really never seen this character. I wrote it like what today is really happening. What's today like? So I wrote this character. How do you not go to the source material? How do you not see the source material and understand it to write these characters? I think it comes from the top. I think Disney is the executive at Disney. The executives at Disney are the problem. I don't think it's Kevin Feige. I don't think you just drop off the face of the earth. But I do think it's he's spread too thin, but I think he's getting so much pressure and so much input from the top that it's clouding the vision.
I've seen this movie before, Titanium.
It doesn't end well.
It doesn't end well. Somebody's head has to roll at some point in time. And unfortunately, I think it might be Feige's head. You can't continue to underperform at the box office like this and the shareholders be happy and your CEO be happy and all these other things. I mean, we knew that early on in Marvel, when Disney first bought Marvel, that was it Ike Perlmutter or whatever, the guy that was Perlmutter or something like that. When it's one of those one of the big executives at Disney had oversight over Kevin Feige and basically was, choking him.
Yeah.
And ultimately Bob Iger said, you're out of here. Feige, you now work for me, and got him out from underneath that because he was basically being hamstrung so often. And so he gave him the freedom to run Marvel Studios the way that it needed to be run. Well, now that you have that freedom, Kevin, you can't sacrifice quality. And I get it that the studio put an enormous amount of pressure on them to make more movies, to make more TV shows. And all of a sudden, his attention was diverted. Instead of having 2 films a year, it was 3 films a year.
Yeah.
And instead of having 3 films a year, it's 3 films a year and 4 Disney Plus programs.
Yeah.
There's all this pressure, and now you're spread this thin, and it's like, okay, I got the She-Hulk team over here. I've got the Eternals team over here. I've got this team over here. They're all doing their thing. What am I doing? Let me check in on them. You can't be invested.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Well, I think the next 2 or 3 years, especially starting with the Fantastic Four movie, then 2026, 2027, I think we're going to learn a lot about where Marvel is heading. I would not be surprised if they started selling off things and either Star Wars, Marvel, some of their properties, some of their big IPs. I wouldn't be surprised if they sold those off and just kind of focused.
Big rumor out there that Sony may be interested in buying DC and Marvel. And then, I mean, you want to get everything under one umbrella, just buy Marvel Studios if you're Sony.
Yeah.
Then you have it, right? I don't know. Something has to happen. I'm just, we've seen this time and again, Titanium, when you have comic book people who love the source material or wrote the source material involved in the development and production of these projects, it works. And then you get guys like, and again, I don't know the whole story, don't want to excuse it. Guys like Bo DeMeo, who loved the X-Men comics.
Yeah.
We saw what happened when we got X-Men 97. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it was good.
Written and based on the source material.
Yeah.
It was great. And then they get rid of him.
Yeah. We don't know the whole story.
We don't know the whole story of why they got rid of him. But the fact of the matter is, we know that when you have comic book people involved, we get good content and good projects, right? Look, I don't know where it's going. I know that a lot of the things they want to do, you've got enough guys out there that wrote. You've got a guy like Chris Claremont. You've got, Jonathan Hickman. You've got so many people.
Yeah.
They used to have Joss Whedon. He's gone now, but you have guys that wrote the comic books.
Yeah.
Get them involved in the production of the material and quit focusing on these characters that nobody cares about because you feel that they should care about them.
Agree 100%. Great, Professor. Thank you. Let's wrap this up. Bell has rung. School is over, Professor.
All right, well, that's it for us this week. We'll be back next week for more Super Talk. To get in touch with us on social media, hit us up via email, supertalkpodcast@outlook.com or at supertalkpod on Twitter. Until then, stay super, everyone.
Black Viper. Everyone likes this game.